Hello everybody, this is the Overthinker and welcome to the channel. So it definitely looks like we are getting into football season here very quickly, almost every day. I'm hearing stuff on the radio about teams holdouts, you have all these things going on. And today I was just kind of hanging around and I looked at my phone and I seen that somebody signed Mike Daniels and he was finalizing his deal, but I didn't unlock my phone to actually check what team it was. It was about an hour later that I got a text from someone, and I actually looked at my phone and unlocked it, and I realized that he signed with the Lions, which is really crazy. Not something I was expecting. About the last thing I would have expected, honestly. The Lions are not a team that would typically do something like this in the past. They're not the type of team that would go out and get the type of player who has options. You know what I mean? Without drastically overpaying. So this is a very big pickup for this team. Very good player. Obviously, as a Lions fan, I've watched a lot of Packers games, and Mike Daniels is a very good football player. He can definitely get to the quarterback, causes a lot of pressures. He does get a decent amount of sacks from the interior. He's not Aaron Donald, but he is pretty damn good. And I think consistently throughout his career, he's pretty much been a top 10 player at his position when it comes to passing downs, getting to the quarterback, and getting pressures on the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, all those types of things. He's very good at what he does. So that's really good. If you looked at our team right now, that's probably one of the things we could have used was actually interior pass rush, because we had Snacks, who's a really good run defender. I actually think does a good job versus the pass, just kind of pushing the pocket. But signing a guy that can beat the double team and get to the quarterback, that is incredible. At this stage in the offseason, it's really hard to find guys like that. So I really do like this signing. So let's pull this over here and check this out. It looks like Adam Schefter broke this news about 7 hours ago. And he initially broke the news that he was finalizing the deal. And then it was... And then over here we have Ian Rappaport. I think he's the first person I've seen actually report on the deal. So it's basically a one-year deal for $9.1 million with $7.8 million guaranteed. And also, if you look here, I might be able to zoom in a little bit. Yes. So basically, there were 13 teams that tried to get Mike Daniels on their team. And the fact that he came to the Lions is pretty insane. That's really nice. So 13 teams called. 4 of those teams at least offered the deal that we gave him, or better. So I think that's a pretty big deal. I mean, there was a lot of talk in the media about how a lot of players did not like Matt Patricia. A lot of players did not want to play for him. A lot of guys wanted to leave. A lot of guys weren't his type of guys, maybe. I just think some guys have a different way of operating, and it might not work with a certain type of coach. So that's very possible. But it looks like it's not going to keep us from getting free agents, which is really crazy. Like the Lions, ever since I've watched them, I think before this offseason, I think the best free agent I can remember acquiring since I've watched football is probably Reggie Bush when he was like 30 years old. So this is actually really good to get a guy who is still playing very well on a one-year deal, not really overpaying. I think you're kind of overpaying for 1 year. If this was like a 4-year deal for like $40 million, I would not be okay with that. That is way too much guaranteed money for a guy that's 30 years old, but if he's 30 years old, he probably has maybe 2-3 years left, but you don't want to bet on having 2-3 years left. You want to bet on the next year, you know what I mean? And it looks like last year he had an ankle injury, so that looks like probably why the Packers wanted to move on, because they weren't comfortable giving him a long-term extension. And he, so maybe he just wanted to sign a one-year deal to kind of prove what he can do in the NFL still. And I think that bodes really well for the Lions, actually, because it also gives us a lot of cap flexibility going forward, because we don't really have to re-sign him. I think this is more of a rental type of thing. I think after this season, we're probably not going to re-sign him because we might not have the money. But having him this year could be very good in terms of our overall defense. And that's another thing I want to get into here. Now that we have Trey Flowers and Snacks, and now that we have Mike Daniels, that is an incredible three players there. And then you can add in Deshaun Hand, who was actually pretty damn good last year. Pro Football Focus actually rated him pretty well last year. So I think he's going to be a pretty good player. He's probably going to start, actually. So I'm assuming what they're going to do on like passing downs, they're just going to take Damon Snacks Harrison off the field and put Mike Daniels on the field. Just kind of swap them on more obvious passing downs, and that's probably going to be the package he plays in the most. So yeah, you combine that with a guy like Trey Flowers, who Trey Flowers can get after the quarterback. He's also very good at stopping the run, does a lot of those things very well. Now I do think we kind of overpaid for Trey Flowers, but considering his age, it just makes a lot of sense. I think if you're going to pay one of the top pass rushers in free agency and not give him what Khalil Mack got, I think that's a win. And I really like this approach by Bob Quinn and by Matt Patricia here. It's really not it's not the safest approach, but I think it's a smart move at the same time because it gives you a lot of cap flexibility. If we look at this roster, guys like Deshaun Hand, A'Shawn Robinson, Romeo Okwara, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of young players on this team, specifically on the defense, that we're looking to possibly re-sign in the future. But now we got Mike Daniels there as a rental player. I think this would be really nice. And it will upgrade our overall defense, I think, by quite a bit. Pretty much looking across the field, we got Mike Daniels. Now we got Snacks Harrison. We got Trey Flowers, Romeo Okwara. I do like Romeo Okwara a lot more than... It seems like the national media doesn't really know much about him, but if you're a Lions fan and you watch the games, he played pretty dang well, especially versus the Rams and the Patriots. He was very good. And hopefully Devon Kennard can come back. I know he got hurt last year. Hopefully he'll be more healthy this year. He had a couple good games. But yeah, I think really the only spot where we don't have a very good starter right now is middle linebacker. And it looks like the rookie we drafted in the second round has been running with the first team in practice, so that's actually really nice to see. It looks like he's just getting into the groove, and it looks like he's in the right place. So that's good. I haven't heard any reports of what exactly position he's going to play, but I'm assuming he's just going to be stand-up backer right next to Jared Davis. That would make the most sense. And then maybe on passing downs, he might do some different things. I know he can kind of rush the passer and all that. And then we have Jared Davis, which I think at the moment is kind of an average starter with a lot of upside. Hopefully this year he'll be a lot better. And that's very possible because he did make some improvements from year 1 to year 2. It would only make sense for him to make more progress from year 2 to year 3. I do like Tracy Walker. He was rated very high by Pro Football Focus last year, but he didn't have enough snaps to rate as one of their top safeties or something like that. I think he needed only like 20 more snaps to qualify or something like that. But I think obviously he had 20 more snaps. If he had 20 more snaps, he would have been a very highly rated safety by Pro Football Focus. So yeah, I think he's probably going to start the whole year. It looks like Tracy Walker this year. And then the other safety spot, I'm assuming it's going to be Quandre Diggs. He had a good year last year, except for some situations when he was playing man coverage in the slot. I don't know why he was playing man coverage in the slot. That's probably where we signed a slot corner. But yeah, now that we signed that really good slot corner, and now obviously we still have Darius Slay playing at a high level. Really the only question mark is the other outside corner, which we did draft that rookie in the 5th round, I believe. So yeah, so this is quite a big change from, the beginning of the Patricia era. After that first game versus the Jets, we looked awful. But since then, we've done a lot of things, or the team has done a lot of things to upgrade the roster and also change the scheme up and stuff. If we look at the roster here, this defense, I'm pretty sure they're going to be a top 5 defense, just looking at the talent. Our defensive line talent right now has to be one of the best in the NFL. I think best defensive lines in the NFL, the Rams, they don't have Ndamukong Suh anymore, right? They have Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is a human wrecking ball. He's the best player. I think he's the best player in the NFL. I do think so. But other guys on that defensive line, they don't have a whole lot. They have a couple other good starters, but not like another elite player. I think we just added an elite player in Trey Flowers, and then Mike Daniels is still a top 5-ish player most years at his position. So yeah, it's nice. It looks like we're going to have a very good defense this year, probably top 5, maybe better. And then if you look at the rest of our team, we have a very young team. I mean, it's pretty much just the left guard spot is the only spot where I don't know who's going to start probably. And yeah, this kind of reminds me of what the Rams did last year. You know, they signed Dominican Sue to a 1-year deal for about $10 million actually. Pretty much about the same deal. We just signed Mike Daniels. And basically that upgraded their defense from being very good to insane, because they had another guy that you had to account for on pretty much every down, running the ball, passing the ball. So yeah, I think that definitely should give fans a lot of confidence now that we have a team that's not afraid to make those types of decisions. Not necessarily, I mean, we're not necessarily sacrificing a future here, but you know, signing this deal is definitely more of a win now mentality, and I like that. Considering the age of Stafford, I don't know how many more years we have of a high-level quarterback. I mean, last year he did not play at a high level. Obviously, we're hoping this year he will. And at least 3-4 years more, right? I would hope so. So we're going to try to win now, right? While we have a lot of young players on this team that don't need to be paid yet. You're going to try to get guys like Mike Daniels. You know, I would not be surprised if about 4 or 5 weeks in, right before the trade deadline, if things are going really well, we might trade for a receiver, we might trade for a left guard, we might trade a first-round pick for an impact player on a cheap deal. I think that would just make a lot of sense. I'm not saying that's going to happen. If you look at the first 4 games of our season, it's going to be pretty tough. So I think Arizona Cardinals, we definitely should win that game. But, you know, the games following, we got to play the Chiefs, the Chargers. I mean, that's going to be some tough games. So, yeah, I think if we could come out of those first 4 games with at least 2 wins, there's a good chance to be a really good team. If we could beat the Chiefs or beat the Chargers. If we could beat the Chiefs or the Chargers, I think this could be a very good team. A very good team. So, yeah, I really do like the way this roster is starting to come together. And it looks like this defense might be better than the defense we had in 2012. Because, if you think about that team, we had Sue playing at an extremely high level. We also had Nick Fairley, Cliff Averill, and a lot of other good players. But we didn't have a star cornerback. We definitely did not have as good of a defensive line. We had 3 good players. I think right now we have 4 or 5 pretty good players. If I consider how good Deshaun Hand played last year, and I just assume that he'll be somewhat similar this year, I think we got 4 really good guys on the interior, and then Romeo Okwara and Devon Kennard on the outside with Trey Flowers. I mean, that is an insane front 4. No matter how we decide to line them up, no matter who we have on the field, I think we're going to be able to win just about every situation, and I like that. It definitely gives this team a lot of versatility going forward, and we should be able to stop a lot of these multiple offenses, which we're going to see. You know, we're going to play against teams like the Chargers that can run and pass. Same thing with the Chiefs. So yeah, I really do like this move for the Lions going forward. I think it's going to show a lot of impact on the field right away. I think it's going to be very good for our young secondary outside of Darius Slay. A lot of those guys are very young, so having a guy that can get after the quarterback is always good. And we just added another one, you know, one of the better guys in the league at his position. Very good move. Very good move. I don't think I can say that enough. I don't know how many times I've said that in this video. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to end the video here. I think this is a home run of a move, you know, signing this guy in a 1-year deal, not really drastically overpaying. You know, there's really no risk here. You're just paying him, you know, about $10 million, $9 million. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely looks like football is starting to heat up here. And I'm definitely going to be making some more videos here. I know I took a break there from this YouTube channel. I actually have 2 YouTube channels, so I get distracted sometimes, and I just not really forget, but like what's in front of me is usually the thing I'm working on. And yeah, if things keep going well, I expect to make a lot of videos this year, so go ahead and subscribe if you like, and we'll catch you in another video.